Hello, Glaivier enjoyers. I know there's only about 3 of you left, but I've been getting a lot of questions in my Twitch chat over the last few weeks asking if you can switch to the new build of Pinnacle Glaivier. Now, the new build referring to Spec, Full Swift, and the Blunt Thorn build with 100% crit tripods, so you don't have to be bound by shackling Blue Dragon, quite literally shackling you to this terrible build where you have to use it and use a couple of your red skills within that 6-second window of your crit buff. Now, you do not have to use that build anymore, okay? Thank the heavens. I am here to tell you that you can switch. I've done DPS tests. I've done quite a few DPS tests in Trixian. I did actually 10 2-minute DPS tests with this build and the traditional meta build. But what I found was that the 100% crit tripod build, despite quite literally never critting your T skill, because we don't have that yet as we don't have bracelets, which after we have bracelets, this will 100% be a very strong build. But since we don't have this, we cannot put the 100% crit rate on our T skill. So you're always going to be using your identity on Red Dragon Horn. Okay, you're never going to use it on your T skill because it's never going to crit, or it's very rare for it to crit. So even with that being said though, it is still on average performing better, even in Trixian, than the traditional meta build. Now, the traditional meta build does have a little bit lower lows and higher highs, so if you have above average luck with your crit, then you are, in Trixian anyways, going to be doing more DPS. I feel that the application of this new build gives you a lot more leeway and viability to actually have higher back attack uptime consistently because you're not shackled by adrenaline and the upkeep of adrenaline and that shackling Blue Dragon buff, because you can quite literally go here, wait a second, oh, you know, maybe they turn, and then you can come around, boom, and then, you know, not crit naturally, and then you can come around here, boom, get 2 in, maybe throw a 4-headed, and then you can like switch, right? And then maybe he does a couple goofy patterns and you can go boom boom, fantastic. That's a quick little 2-3 second burst, right? Maybe he turns and you can come in here and get this real quick. The rotation is very flexible depending on what the boss is doing. Of course, there's a very ideal rotation, but it's very flexible, and I feel like it's much more realistic to consistently do damage in a raid scenario, not just Trixian, but also a raid scenario with this build. Now, again, keep in mind, you are rarely going to crit your T skill, so if at all possible, I think what it would be best is if you can, when your T skill is up, when you notice that your T skill is up, as you can see it there, what I would do, or what I've been doing, and I've been noticing it's critting a little bit more often, is when you activate your shackling, go ahead and use your Raging Dragon Slash, then immediately switch and try to hit your T skill within that shackling Blue Dragon buff of the 20%, and I feel like it's been critting more. I don't have the Bible to tell me that it's been critting more, or I haven't really been paying attention to it, so it's just gonna give it a little bit better chance. Now, that's really all you can do right now to remedy the crit rate on your T skill for this build, but the major question has been answered. Yes, you can switch to the 100% crit tripod build, and this is what it looks like. So on RDH, you're gonna go 1-3-1. I'm just gonna do this really quickly, guys, so you can pause the video if you need to, if you want to, whatever it is. And for Starfall Pounce, you're gonna go 1-2-1, and then for Forehead Dragon, you're gonna go 3-3-3-2. And on Thrust Destruction, you're gonna go 3-1-1, okay? And on the Raging Dragon Slash, you're taking 1-1-2, or you can go 1-3-2 if you want the big daddy swing on this bad boy, where you take a huge wind up first. Does a little bit more damage, but it takes a little bit longer to get out. The overall DPS, though, is the same. It just takes more time, so it does more damage, if that makes sense. On to Half Moon Slash, you go 1-1, and then you can do Chasing Slash if you'd like. I tend to do Blade of Tornado because this is your weakest damaging skill. You know, trying to min-max it, you can absolutely do that, but I don't really do that. That is the build. Pretty self-explanatory. I will say though, on your tripods, or on your engravings rather, excuse me, you're not going to be using adrenaline anymore. So you can use MP efficiency, you can use stabilized status. I went with MP efficiency just because it feels better. You don't really have to worry about it. And lots of times whenever you are going into an attro window, if you have a little bit of chip damage done to you and then you attro, you go below that 60% of health. And guess what? Your stabilized status is now not active and you're doing freaking Z. But you're not actually doing Z, it's not active. So it's basically like you're playing with 4 engravings. This remedies that. Doesn't matter what health you're at, you're good to go. So that's why I use MP efficiency personally. For your evolution tree, you're going to be doing full spec and then swift, limit break, and then you're going to want to go 1 into strike and 1 into unlimited magic right now, unless you have a crits in. If you have a crits in, go 2 into unlimited magic. The reason being is because you want to max out the efficiency on blunt thorn. And I will just say real quick that memorizer does a really good job at breaking down why you need this. It's basically just maximizing the efficiency of blunt thorn. And getting your crit rate where it needs to be to get the maximum damage out of these nodes here. Putting 1 into strike normally is going to put you at that maximum crit rate value for efficiency. However, if you have a crits in, then you can take 1 off and go into 1 more into the unlimited magic, and your cooldowns will be a little bit less as well, plus you get just more base evolution damage. So it feels really, really good, this build. It is so much fun. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, and of course here with your T skill nodes, it's like it's kind of smudge. You can't really put it on anything else. So just make sure that you max out your transcendent power, and then whenever we get Brel, then we'll get access to bracelets, and we can finally put this in here, and it becomes a very, very good build. I mean, very, very good. So I'm so ecstatic for Brel to come. That way we can do that. But even though Brel isn't quite here yet, I've still absolutely loved playing this new 100% crit tripod build. However, I will say getting used to the rotation is quite awkward at first. For example, you don't have to upkeep adrenaline, and it's kind of weird not to just press a random key out of nowhere just to upkeep your adrenaline. So that takes some getting used to. Also, you can use four-headed dragon twice in your rotations, okay? So, and you will do so every other rotation. You'll use four-headed dragon twice. So I can use this and then go boom, and then hit the big whammy, go straight into half moon slash, and then I'm back into my red stance. And then we use it at the end here, right? Or your skills are coming up so much faster, okay? And then this comes up first. Go boom, starfall into RDH, and you can wait in red stance. And again, you don't have to worry about adrenaline. You can just run around. You don't have to use any skills. Use it again, boom, switch over, and then now starfall will be ready first. And then you go back in here, boom, four-headed, and then the next rotation on your red side, your four-headed will be up first. So every other rotation, you're actually using four-headed twice in your rotation, which does add up over time. Four-headed does a little bit, or it does pretty good damage, I will say, for the skill that it is, especially when you can just run around and just, you know, kind of like pop it in there every now and then. It's quick. There's no real drawbacks to it, but as you can see, you're just always doing something, and that's why I feel so good this class. I mean, there's really only 5 or 6 seconds of downtime. I really encourage you to try this build, switch it up. Let me know if you've tried and you don't like it. I'm kind of curious to see how many of you are out there. But again, I feel like it's a really practical, it's a much more practical build for these raids, especially with bosses moving around how they do, because you can sneak in a skill here, sneak in a skill there. You don't have to unload 3 different, well, technically 4 different buttons: shackling, switch stance, red dragon horn, and or T skill, plus starfall pounce within a 6-second window. That is terrible. All right, it does not feel good, and it's really hard to do consistently without the boss moving within that crit buff window. So definitely give it a shot and let me know how it goes down in the comments. But guys, take it easy. That is all for this video, and I'll see you on the stream or in the next video. Bye-bye.